Good morning. Welcome. It is Friday, April 10th. How's it going? Today is the day 10 of 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript. My name is Angela. I am a front-end developer in St. Paul, Minnesota. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I want to get right to it, but first I'm just going to kindly ask that you like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'm generally here 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, but of course every day in April for the 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript. And today we are working on, well, we have to finish, let's see here, we have to finish the form validation states, which we worked on yesterday. And I have to say, if there was one thing that carried into the following day, and the only reason we didn't finish yesterday is because I had a meeting in the afternoon, I had to stop and we just weren't done. But if there was one thing that had to carry through into the following day, I'm kind of glad it's this, because we did run into some things. So let's just sort of review where we're at. Form validation states, I think honestly, my biggest takeaway from this exercise, this project, is that form validation is not about security. It's about providing a good user experience. That's really what it's about. And I don't think I've ever really understood that until now. So I'm grateful to have that clarity and to understand that the real security happens server side, not client side. Anything that happens in the browser can be manipulated. ChatGPT just simply said, don't trust the browser under any circumstances, because anything in the DOM can be manipulated in the DOM, in the dev tools, right? Anything. We already know that. Anything can be manipulated. If we try to build in a bunch of security into the JavaScript, the bad actors will just turn off JavaScript. What's probably really going to happen is that bad actors aren't even going to use your form at all. They're just going to take your endpoint and do whatever they want with it. So it's kind of pointless to put a lot of effort into security client side. The effort is about providing a good user experience. So I think that clarity is the main takeaway from this exercise. And here's sort of what the trouble or the problem that we need to solve comes from yesterday. And that's that I use Formspree as an endpoint. There are a gazillion third-party apps out there that handle email. I personally like Formspree. I'm on the free version. Let's see here. The free version allows for 50 submissions a month. I mean, I don't get 50 submissions in a year, so this is perfectly fine for me. And it's very easy to make your own form, grab that endpoint. You don't have to match up fields on both ends. I think there are, I'm thinking MailChimp isn't really an email provider, but I think MailChimp's a good example where you really have to match up your name API value with what exists in MailChimp, or the data is not going to be captured the way you want it to. Formspree is so nice because I can name my fields whatever I want, and as soon as they get that, what are we calling it, a request, they're just going to take it and log it for us as a submission. Now the problem with the free version of Formspree is that we don't get the request back that the form was submitted successfully. So what I was trying to do yesterday was clear these fields upon submission. And because we don't get that request back or that response back from Formspree, it's really difficult to do that. I can't clear those fields until I know that I'm getting a response back. There's no logic that I can implement. And I think ChatGPT also had a really good point about the fact that valid fields are not the same as a successful submission. And in order to clear those fields, what you really need is the successful submission. And since we're on the free version of Formspree, we're just not going to get that. So Formspree's default behavior on the free version is that once you hit send message, they load a new page saying what the response is, successful submission. I wired up my form so it opens a new tab because I don't want my user taken off of my site. The problem with that is that when the user comes back to the site, they come back to that tab, the form is still filled in. So what I've done in the past is disable the button. And I don't think that that's bad, but I'm not convinced that that's also the best user experience. So I had an idea last night. I had a brainstorm last night. What if we just put in a reset button? So, people can reset the form by refreshing the page, right? But reset buttons exist for a reason, and I think that that would actually be a good user experience. I'll admit I still want to disable the button. Like, I really want to do that, but I also want to put in a reset button. So I would like to know what you think. Do we disable the button and put in a reset button, or do we just put in a reset button to clear the form? I think a reset button is a great solution, and that I don't even want to try to clear the form anymore now that I understand that I'm not getting what I need to do that. And I want this exercise to be more generic and not Formspree specific, because I think that the free version of Formspree probably behaves similarly to a lot of free versions of third-party email apps, right? I'm guessing that what they do is similar to other apps. So with that in mind, let's keep this, I don't want to say generic, but as broad as possible. So we're learning what we need to do, and we're completing the exercise and not making it all about Formspree, if that makes sense. I think that makes sense. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, let's say hello to the chat. Malik is here. Go Elmo. Welcome. Thank you. Malik Robinson. Go Elmo. He's amazing. I see that Monique Robinson is also here. Welcome, Monique. Monique and Malik, not related, just a happy coincidence. They are both mods in the chat today. We love them. Nano Akia is here. Welcome, my friend. I'm glad that you could come and hang out. Ozzy Lloyd, the real security is the friends we... The real security is the friends we made along the way. Oh, thank you, Ozzy. I love that. Nano says, never trust your friends or your nan when it comes to web security. So both of my nans have passed on. One nan passed on before I was born. My other nan passed on. Grandma Eva, she passed on in, what year did she die? 2016, I think it was. Here's what I've learned about, let's just call them boomers. Well, Nan was not, my Grandma Eva was not a boomer. My parents, I think, would officially be called boomers. We'll just still call it boomers, because I don't think that's too much of a pejorative, right? Am I using that word correctly? Anyways, I was thinking about local storage and what I've learned about local storage the last couple of days, and about how I have this idea to build a web app that would really rely heavily on local storage. And I was thinking to myself, I know what my behavior is around clearing cookies, which is that I don't do it unless I absolutely have to, because it's such a pain in the ass, right? But my dad, who's 75, clears his cookies like 3 times a day. Because he got it into his head that that's how you stay safe on the web, and he won't be convinced otherwise. So this comment, never trust your friends or your nan when it comes to web security, just makes me think of my dad clearing his cookies 3 times a day. So that's funny. Dante is here. Hello, welcome. I can confirm that Formspree behaves like that. Yeah. It's not bad at all. I just think that we can find and here's the thing about the fact that I feel like sometimes maybe I make too big of a deal about saying I'm using the free version. Let me be very clear about the fact that I am happy to pay for things when I find value in them. I'm absolutely happy to spend my money paying for things, but I don't see a reason to pay for Formspree if I get 50 submissions a month and I don't even use 50 submissions in a year. I just don't see the point in it. I also think that there's nothing wrong with using the free version. There's nothing wrong with understanding the boundaries of the free version and still making it work. That's to me creative problem solving, right? And then as soon as I have enough forms and enough people reaching out to me where I need to increase my plan and pay for it, I will happily do so. So that's how I look at it. Happy to pay for things. So Osley says your use of pejorative was perfectly cromulent. Okay, what does cromulent mean? Let's see here. Cromulent. Acceptable or adequate. Got it. I don't think it's too much of a, it could be used in a way that is definitely an insult, calling someone a boomer, or it could just be a descriptive term, and we all know what we're talking about, right? So, okay. So with that being said, I think I have enough people in the chat. I would like to know what people's opinions are. Do we disable the button and do a reset, or do we just do a reset? I'm honestly not sure what to do. I want to do both, but I'm wondering what people think. Oh, it's a joke word from The Simpsons. I didn't know that. So I'm a fan of The Simpsons, but I haven't watched in years. So I'm old enough that I was around when The Simpsons first came out. I'm old enough that The Simpsons premiered as like the break. It was like a break on the Tracy Ullman show. So if anybody remembers the Tracy Ullman show back in it had to be the late 80s. What, didn't The Simpsons start in the late 80s? I remember I grew up on a farm in central Minnesota, and I remember watching the Tracy Ullman show, and The Simpsons was like the cartoon break in between skits, and then it turned into a series. So I'm that old. So Gogo almost says just reset, not disable the button. Okay, well, let's start with reset. Yeah. So let's go here. So I don't think I'm happy with everything else that we did here. I already took out where we were clearing those fields. Let's see here. So I think what we do is we just do the form success. Well, no, we just add a reset button. That's all we do. Let's close this for now. All we do is add a reset button, because literally if you have button type reset inside a form element, it just resets everything. There isn't even any JavaScript for that. I don't want it to look like the submit button. I want it to look like, well, let's just get it in here and make sure it works. Let's also make sure that we see a form submission going through with our data, which we didn't do yesterday. And then, yeah. And then we'll style it. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this. I don't think we're going to need to. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that anything inside, any button type reset inside of a form will automatically clear the forms. Let's give this a class for now. And then we'll just say reset. I do want to style this a little bit different, but let's at least do this. So let's at least test again. So I'm going to send message. Okay. All right. All right. And now what if we just practice reset? Just like that. It just resets the form. Okay. Do this again. And this is form submission on 4/10/26 at 11:03 a.m. CST. So if you're new here, I always put a message in the text area saying the date and the time of the submission. So if I'm troubleshooting, my form's not going through, I know, and one suddenly goes through and I'm like, shit, which one was that? I know which one that was. So that's just what I like to do. So we'll go ahead and send message. So this is going to open in a new tab. Okay. So now we've got the response from Formspree that the submission was successful. And then we go back to our site and we have our success message. Your form was submitted. but all the fields are still filled in. So now I'm just going to reset. Yes. So we should probably also, if we're going to reset, so let's say on click for the reset button, let's also clear this. Yeah. So that would be a little bit of JavaScript. So we're showing this. So let's do the reset button. So I'm actually going to change this to reset button because we don't need the submit button for anything in our JavaScript. Reset, button type, reset. And then I'm going to say reset, add event listener, click. I don't think we need to like capture an event here. I think we can just do this. But we're going to set the attribute back to hidden. So if we click the reset button, do we have to do an if statement to check and see, or can we just do we need to do if form success get attribute hidden equals, what am I doing here? What am I checking? Am I just doing get attribute equals hidden? We just did this. Let me look. I need to look. So where did we just do this? We just did this with, we checked, what did we check? The filterable list. The toast notification. Yeah. So button get attribute aria controls if it equals that value. That's okay. That's what I want. So when you click the reset button, if the form success attribute equals hidden, then form success if it equals nothing, if it's empty. Is this pointless? Do I even need to do this? Let's Google it. Element get attribute equals empty string. What's it gonna say? Checking element get attribute empty string verifies if an HTML attribute exists but has an empty string value. Get attribute, see. Best practices for checking attributes. Has attribute. Yes, has attribute hidden. Got it. Has attribute hidden. So this would probably be true or false, right? Attribute exists could be empty or have a value. I don't even care if it's empty or has a value because we're not giving it a value. It just exists. So okay, that works for me. So And Nanokia says, I think the biggest issue with no return from the endpoint is that you can handle someone just sitting there hitting the submit button. You could use a timer, but they could still keep submitting. Yeah. So do you think I should disable the button too? That's what I want to do. And then we on click, if we click the reset, we can just enable it again when we reset everything, right? Let's see if this works. Let me, hang on one second. I'm going to log in. Let me log in. Probably should have done this. Okay. So here's our form validation states. Here's our submissions. Here's and one spam. Oh, because I did it locally. That's why it's spam. We need to push this. Yeah, I forgot about that. Right here. Well, I guess it went through. Technically, it went through. It just got logged as spam. But everything went through. That's kind of cool. I've never had one go through from localhost before. So, that's good to know. That's good to know that that actually worked. So, okay, good. Even if it went to spam, I don't really care. It just went through. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So let's go ahead and commit this and push it up because I think I'm gonna stop here. I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm not gonna worry about the disabling the button. I mean, maybe I'll do that at a future date. But we need to move on to our list. I don't want to lose sight that we have another task to work on here today. And I'm happy with what we came up with. I feel like I understand everything that's going on. I have a ton of clarity, demystified forms, so to speak. So it's a win. This is all, everything's a win. Hopefully this works so we don't spend too much more time on it. Adding a reset button. I'm not crazy about having a reset button and a submit button right next to each other. I would like to style this a little bit differently. That might have to come at a later time as well. Okay, let's grab FileZilla. This is funny because I just dropped 40 smackaroos on Heidi Snacks this week because the treat jar was getting low. So if I forget snacks, I'm in so much trouble. You have no idea. You have no idea. Snacks are a big part of this house for everyone involved. So yes, progress made. Okay, so we have to deploy our components and we have to deploy day 9. I think that's it. We have to add our markup still to that page. Let's do all of that at the end after we finish our next task. So we'll do both. We have to add our UI components to both pages. We'll get all of that done at the end. right, we have our reset button. I don't know. I just feel paranoid. I want to make sure that I see everything here. Yes, I see everything in here. Okay, good. So this is here. We'll do a different dog. Risky business. He was my first Sheltie. So we'll test. Risky, rest in peace. He went to doggy heaven back in 2010. He is such a good dog. Form submission on 4/10/26 at 11:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right. So, can we clear everything? This did not work. That didn't work. Has attribute 1 argument required, but only 0 present. Okay, so it wants... Oh, is it, hang on. Is it... Did I delete it? Do I have to do this? Let's check. Let's just take a peek at MDN. By the way, I got nothing going on today, so we're here for as long as it takes. We are here for as long as it takes. Okay. Yeah, I think that I did it backwards. Okay, nope, no problemo. No problemo. We got FileZilla still open. Let's try it again. Burp. Did we have a console log before, or was that probably not till we got to the click? Okay, so that's updated. Just keep that there. Okay, so now we'll try my second Sheltie. Her name was Ryan. She was so cute. She went to doggy heaven in 2015 when we were living in San Diego. Boy, she was a really good dog too. She was, how old was she? 12 or 13? She was only, I mean, I had her for 11 years. She was with me the first year I lived in San Diego, and I remember driving from, Minnesota to California with her, just curled up in a little nest in the back seat behind me the whole way. Oh my gosh. She was so adorable. And what time is it? 11:18 a.m. CST. Okay. We are submitting our form. We have our response. Now, can we clear everything? What's happening? Why isn't that working? Okay, so let's we need to console log this. Let's get back to our local environment. Let's clear some of these. Let's see what's happening. This is a problem I would like to understand. We need to figure this out. And then we're going to move on, I promise. Has attribute does not check value. Yeah, I mean, there isn't a value. There's just the attribute, right? That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. So let's do this. Let's just put in, I'm going to take hidden out of the markup, right? I feel like clicking this should am I doing something backwards? If the form success has hidden. Oh, I think I'm doing this backwards. I think it needs to be this. It needs to be that, I think. Nope. Wait a second. Reset, add event listener, click. If the form success has the attribute hidden. I know it works. What was it that we just... So here I did, if the button get attribute ARIA controls, but this has a value, so oh, I don't need, sorry. Okay. Got it. Thank you, Nanokia. So we don't need this. We don't need to check for a value. So if the form success does not have the hidden attribute, then set the attribute. I think that I also had this backwards. So if it's not hidden, then set the attribute. Has or get. Oh, am I doing this all inside the event listener? Hang on. We can't do this inside the event listener. That's why. Pretty sure. There, that was it. Yeah, that's a good mistake to make, honestly, because it's such an easy fix, right? So this totally works. Okay, so let's I don't need this right now. All right, so let's get everything back to where it should be, and we'll push it up and we'll test it one more time. So we do want that in there by default. Fixing the hidden attribute. All right. Day 9. plus our components. And then let's check our form submissions. Yep, all our submissions are going through. Excellent. I'm hoping that you can see the value in getting the path and the URL. I can just only tell you that you would be surprised at how handy that comes in, especially if you're on a site with a lot of landing pages and if data is not flowing the way it should be. It's really handy. It's such an easy way to track. You'd be surprised at how easy it is to lose track of where a submission is coming from on a site. So, okay, this all looks great. I'm super happy with this. So we know our data is going through. I'm going to close that. I don't think we need that anymore. I do just want to test one more time and make sure that we can clear the form. Okay. How do I have any other pets? I'm trying to think. No, though personally those were my only 3 pets so far, but we had pets growing up. We'll go back to, we'll give Heidi another shot. Form submission on 410, oops, 10:26 at 11:26 a.m. CST. Send message. Open. We get our response. Successful. We did it. Look at that. We did it. All right. And I also updated the requirements here. I took out any reference of regular expressions or email pattern validation because I feel like we all agreed yesterday why that's a bad idea. And I put in a couple extra things. I put in this no validate property, which I think is pretty interesting and worth having people look at. We didn't do the focus first invalid input. We didn't do that. It falls under the nice extras. We've got clears, errors on input, clear form with the reset button. I added that. We did everything else. We did the submit event, prevent default, checking for empty fields, showing inline errors. We have a success state and bypassing constraint validation. I put that in this morning along with the reset button. So I'm good with this task. It's a basic form, demystified so many things for me. I like it. So let's go on now to our simple task list. If you had asked me 10 days ago how to do this, I would have told you I have absolutely no idea. But it's crazy that in 10 days, I have a pretty solid idea of how to do this. So we're dealing with the, let me see here. Oh, we have to, hang on. I actually need to deploy I made a change to this. We're on the 30 days site. So I made a change to that. So let me update that as well, because I updated some links on this page. Okay. So we're dealing again with the, oh, just pull, Angela, just pull up the actual, pull up your dev site. Okay, so here's day 9. Here's form validation. We're done with this. Here's day 10. And then our component is task list. Yes. Excellent. Okay. So it's form submission, which we've already done. creating list items, buttons inside of dynamic content, event delegation, or per item listeners. Nice extras. Mark as complete. An empty state message. Empty state message. Well, we know how to do that, right? Save tasks in local storage. I think that's a cool idea. So we're dealing with submit event, create element, closest. We haven't exactly used closest yet. We almost used it once, but we've definitely looked at that. Remove, we've done that. Local storage, we've done that. So, okay. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. Getting ChatGPT to outline the set of learning tasks. Here's why it's a good idea, because in the real world, as developers, you don't just get a task, you get a task and there's some requirements. There's something specific that you're supposed to do, right? So somebody could say create a task list, but also I need somebody to tell me what we're doing with. What do you want? Well, okay, we're creating a list. Then what? What's the point? What do you need to do, right? So requirements are the key. I totally agree. So, okay. So I'm going to put here's what I'm going to do, chat. Don't get hurt feelings if I don't respond right away. I'm putting the focus prompt in the chat. So if I have questions, I will let you know. But I think I can do it. Let's just start defining our things. That's usually the best way for me to get started on something. So we'll say function init task list and let's see here. We're going to do everything scoped to the task form. So this will be document, query selector, task form, and then we'll check to make sure that it's here. If not, we can just return. So now everything is scoped to the root. All right, what else do we need here? Our input. We'll call this the task input equals the root, query selector, task input. What else do we have here? We have a submit button. And that's just, we'll do button type equals, whoops, type equals submit. What else do we need here? Our task list and our task items. So I feel like, well, let's just do this. I think we need to, I think we need the list because I think we're going to do insert adjacent or append. I don't know which one yet, which one's going to work exactly, but it's going to be one of the two. And that's going to be adding list items to this list. So we'll say task list equals root query selector, and we'll just say task list. And then we need our list items, task items. So I think event delegation or per item listeners, this says to me that the assignment is not to create an array out of the items, but rather to use like the target list item. That's what that says to me. So do I just say, so how do I define the, do I even need to define these? If I'm clicking on the button, it's probably, I need to define the task item button is what I need to do. That's what I think I need to do. Const, I'm going to call this the remove button. Query selector. So this is the task item button. I don't think that I need to define the items specifically because I think that I'm going to be creating the items, right? We're going to be creating items as we add them to the input. Yeah, that's what I think we're going to be doing. Okay, so we have these ready to go. So, and then the form is the root element. So on submit, add event listener, submit. And yeah, we need to get that event, right? Well, maybe not yet, but we might need that. So we type into the form and then we click add task. And then what happens? So the add task is the submit button. I'm going to change the name of this to add task because that is just going to make more sense. That's the submit button. So probably we want to prevent the default, right? Because we're not actually submitting any forms. So that's the first thing that we want to do. But also, so we're not doing an event listener specifically on this button, are we? We're submitting the form and the event listeners on the form as a whole. Yeah. Okay, so then we want to create our task item. So here's where we create our task item. Task item equals document create element. And we want to create a list item. We also need to create a span and a button. So let's just create them all first. So we'll say, I'm just going to say span, document, create element, and then we also want to create our button. Document, create element, button. Okay, and then what do we need to do to each of these things? I feel like so first we need to just do span text content. The span text content is going to equal whatever the value of the task input is, right? So can we just do, can I just say that the span text content is the task input value? task input value. That's the thing that we type in, right? And then we're going to do button set attribute. We want type equals button. And then we're also going to do button class list add. Can I add two classes at once, or do I have to do them separately? Can I do this? Button outline? We'll find out. I'm going to try it. I'll do a separate one if I have to. And then I'm going to do task item. I am going to do append the span and the button. And then I'm going to do the, see, I don't think we need this. I don't think we need the add task button. But then I want the task list. Oops. But then I want the task list, and I'm going to insert adjacent. So I'm going to, no, it's the other way around. I think I take the task item and insert it adjacent. I'm going to do before end on the task list. I might have this, do I have this backwards? I might have this backwards, but I just did this for my search input. So hang on, let me check that. Let me look. I just did this. No, I didn't do this. I decided not to, so it wouldn't be there. Okay, we'll find out if this works. But wait a second, where did we do this? Didn't we just do this someplace? Was it the toast notification? Where we did like an insert adjacent? Yeah, so you take the root, the thing you're doing. Okay, so I do have it backwards. So this is the task list, and I'm inserting the task item before the end. I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. It's one or the other, and we're going to find out. Okay. So we're not worried about removing anything yet. So I'm just going to take that out. So here's my theory. My theory is that I'm going to type something into the input, and then when I click the submit button, I'm going to prevent default because we're not actually doing a form submission. But on submit, I'm going to create the list item, create the span, and create the button. The span content is going to be whatever, oh, hang on, this is wrong. It's going to be whatever the value of the input is. We'll set the attribute on the button to type button. We'll add two classes, and then we'll append is so great because you can just line up your items, so that'll work really well. We'll create our list item, and then we will insert our item before the end of the task list. Does anybody think this is going to work? Let's find out. Does this really work? No. Okay, what happened? Oh, hang on. It's the best mistake to make, man. Okay, let's try it again. Let's try it again. This is my task. No, okay. Failed to execute add the token provided button. Okay, it doesn't like this. Let's just try to add one button. Let's just try that. This is my task. Okay. Uncut. Cannot read properties of null reading insert adjacent element. Did I get these backwards? Hang on, let's look. Should I just do task list append? Maybe this is too fancy. Task item. Should I just do this? It should just put it at the end, right? Okay, now what? Okay, reading. Cannot read property. Okay, so something is null. Did I? Root query selector. Oh, hang on. It's not inside. It's outside the root. That's why. It's scoped incorrectly. Okay, I can handle that. So let's do this. We need to make our section the root. That's what we need to do. So we're going to add a class to this, and we're just going to call this task. What are we going to call it? Task list. What's the name of this whole thing? We'll call it the simple task list. Simple task list. And we just have to rescope. So insert adjacent was probably fine. It was probably fine. So we're going to come up here and do this. And I think, oh, did I get that wrong? Did I miss the T? Yes. So I think, oops. So now we should have everything scoped correctly. That means that we need to define our form. So that's fine. So we'll say const form equals root query selector, and it's an ID of task form. Look at the problem solving. I'm telling you. So then this would be form. I would not have had any idea how to do this a week ago, 10 days ago. This to me is absolute success. That this even makes sense, that I can even do this type of problem solving. I think it's so cool. So I want to go back to doing task list, because I really do like insert adjacent element. And I want to do before end. Before end. Yeah. So I think we're okay. I think we're okay here. We're still scoped correctly. Okay. 5th time is a charm. My task. Okay, we're clearly missing something here, but I think we're on the right track. Okay, so then we need to clear. I feel like we need to clear this after we've added it, but we also need to add text to our button. What? This is so cool. Okay, so our button needs to have text as well. Button. Text content equals remove, and actually we're going to change that. So we're going to change that. We're going to take out remove, but let's get everything working first and then we'll do that. What I'd like to have instead of a button with the word remove, we should add an ARIA label remove, and let's add an SVG and style it to be just like a little X that you clear. So, okay, good. But for now we'll do this just to get everything working. And then, so once we do this, then we need to clear this input value, right? So can't we just do task input value, like make it, the next thing we do is just like empty string to like clear the input? Clear the input after it's added to the list. X marks the spot. So Osloy says, don't worry, my feelings were already hurt before you didn't respond right away. You'll find a way to cope with that, I'm sure. So I do my best, right? I do. We do our best. So yeah, we'll put in a nice little SVG there. So, okay, let's see if this works. My task. Nice. So what's going on with the styling here? Why is there a space there, not a space there? My task. Another task. Ooh, I hit the return key this time and that worked. Heidi's task. This is so cool. Okay. Okay. So this clears the input after it's added to the list. So this is create the elements. Set the set the attributes, add list, add LIs to the list. Look at that. Yeah, we don't need this button. That's good to know. Okay. So now how do we remove items? We also have to do local storage. Let's work on removing items. So that would be a separate event listener, right? That's going to be, so we're going to do remove button, and there could be many buttons. Here's the remove button. Add event listener. Click. So Monique is pointing out something good. The button color background is white for the last 3 tasks. Do we need to change the background color on that? That's a good question. Let's see here. Let's see if, can I do both? Hang on. Button, outline. There was an error before because it wasn't scoped correctly. Can I do this like this, or do I have to do another class list add? I'm not even sure. Let's check. No, it doesn't like that. So here we can do this. So now I'll add both classes and they should be fine. What's it? Hey, there was another thing here. There's a space here in between, and I wasn't getting that space here. Maybe it doesn't matter. I just think it's annoying. I mean, we could do... I could put in a break, or I mean, I'm going to style it, so oh, that didn't work. What if I just do backticks? You can't put in HTML? Apparently not. Why wouldn't that work? I'm not going to worry about that space because we're going to style it anyways. But why? Okay, let's see what it actually looks like in the markup. See, now I'm annoyed. Oh, we're not giving it the we're not, well, does that matter? We have to set the class for this. That could matter. So we do need to make sure that we're adding the class for the task item. Task item, completely missed that. So we're going to do class list, add, task item. Okay, so now we have our task. Why are we still not getting our space in between these items, though? Is there some phantom space here that I don't know about? No. Button outline. There's no spaces here. Type button, class button outline. Task item, task item. Doesn't have anything to do with the pseudo element, the marker. Spans are inline, buttons are display inline. I didn't change that. Display inline block, so everything should get a space. I don't know. You know what I'd like to do? I want to just take this out. I don't want to have anything there. If we're going to add stuff, we're just going to add it, and I want it to all be consistent. There's a space getting added, and I'm absolutely sure it's because of one's here and one isn't. So let's just do this. My first task, MDN documentation. Yeah, let's just Heidi's task. There, now we have nice consistent. Now we have nice and consistent. So yeah, we're thinking alike, Monique. So now everything is just getting added consistently. And then we'll add an SVG here and make it nice, make it easy. We'll style it up. So now let's make sure that we can remove items. So I'm going to change this to remove item. So that's going to be in a separate event listener. So I think it would be E target what is it? It's the target. Is it just, well, closest. That's what we need closest for, because we're going to travel up till we get to closest. And we're looking for the item, right? And then we're going to remove the item. Closest task item remove. Like that. So when we click the button, we're going to travel up and find the closest task item, which would literally be the parent, and then we're going to remove it. My task, Heidi's task. That didn't work. Okay, what? Remove button is not defined. Oh, because I changed the name to remove item. That's why. Okay, and we definitely need to do our local storage next. So this is my task, Heidi's task, the chat's task. Okay, let's see. I feel like we're so close. I feel like we're so close. Should we Google it or should we read the documentation? Well, let's do this first. Let's make sure that we're even. I just want a console log. Let's use our console logs, and what's the target? Just so I can make sure that I know what I'm even clicking on. What's the target? No, reading add event listener. Okay, remove item. We have to check for it because we haven't added anything yet, so we have to check for it. So if remove item, we have to make sure. And Osley is telling me to use ChatGPT. Not there yet. We're not there yet. So we're going to check for remove item, right? So I'm going to add this, my task. All right, so we're not even getting it yet. So the target, so maybe we need to better define what the target is. So what is it? Is it the value? Is it what is it? I don't even know. Create element, closest, remove, submit event, local storage. So event delegation or per item listeners. Let's Google this. MDN, event delegation or per item listeners. Use delegation if you have a list of similar items, like a delete button on every row of a table. use per item if you only have 2 to 3 unique buttons that will never change. I feel like it's this one, right? Yeah, this technique leverages event bubbling, where an event on a child element bubbles up to its parents. You attach one listener to a container like an unordered list and use event target to identify which child, like an list item, was actually clicked. Okay, so the event listener. Interesting. So we would do the event listener on the unordered list. Let's do this. I feel like, can I at least get the value? There's got to be, hang on. So what are the different, I feel like we should be able to click the button, and why would they have us do closest if it didn't want us to? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep experimenting. Yeah, we're not getting anything here. So this is separate, right? So that's separate. I'm done with that. So this is on page load. So it doesn't know that the item's even there. So it probably does need to be inside. It does need to be inside. Because it doesn't get created until we submit the form. Yeah. Don't tell me. So I submit the form. The task item gets added. Can I console log the button? Remove item. Task item. Maybe I just got the button wrong. Console log. Remove item. Null. That's why. So task item button. Query selector. Let's see, I don't have it there anymore. Query selector. Task item button. That should work, right? So we're creating the button, right? We're creating the button, giving it all these classes. Maybe we can't define it up here. We're defining it too soon, right? Because it hasn't been created yet. So really, this is the button that we're clicking on, the one that we're creating. Yeah. which makes me think that we don't need this and we don't need this. And really, we're just looking for this. Oh, hang on. There we go. Yes. There we go. So now, does this work? Will this work now? What's the, okay, just, so the value is the entire thing. The value is the entire thing, not just the words. It's the entire element. So this makes me think that this would be target value. I don't know if I need value or not. I have no idea. Well, hang on. What if getting ahead of myself. What do I console log if it's just target? Oh, okay. Fair. All right. So I don't think I need that. All right, let's see if this works. My task, Heidi's task, the task. Okay. Failed to execute closest on element. Object is not a valid selector. Task item. Oh, it's not a valid selector. Okay, so let's look at closest. We're doing it. We're totally problem solving. So, closest. One moment, please. Closest. How do we do closest? Okay, yeah, so the closest ancestor element or itself which matches the selectors if there are no such elements. So does it need to be... Okay, so I can't just put in, I have to actually put in the class. No problemo. So that is going to be task item. Closest task item. Yes? Yeah, because there's an ID there. So let's see if this works. Whoa. We did it. My task, the task, another task. Look at that. Okay. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right, we don't need these anymore. Next, what do we do next? Now we need to, I feel like the final thing is local storage, right? So how do we save our list in local storage? So I know how we saved, let's look at our theme toggle. How did we do that? Yay, woohoo. Okay, so we're going to save a theme. So we're going to save we'll do save list local storage. So we have to set an item first. And then we have to say what it is. This is a little different than, so this is, so what, how are we saving? How are we saving those items? So for saving the theme, so local storage set item theme light. Okay, I understand that for like adding one class to the body. How do you save an entire list? It's a little smaller. How do you save an entire list? You must have to do like double duty here somehow, right? I feel like, well, let's look at local storage. We've come this far. Let's look at the local storage. Maybe there's a good example there. MDN local storage. Let's see here. Caffeine Cowboy says an array of objects. Yeah, it's yeah, okay. So you create your items and then you store them as an array. Okay, hang on, this is coming to me now. So let's console log the array of objects. That would probably be the next thing to do. So then if we've created our stuff, we want to say we'll just call it the list array equals what? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. The list array would equal I mean, is it just root query selector all items and then the array just grows as we submit the form? Mum's the word. Don't tell me. I'm just going to try it how I think I should do it, and we're going to go from there. We've come so far. We've come so far. Root query selector all task item. I mean, could it possibly be that simple? And so I would expect to see for every time I submit, but that's only going to get one at a time. So every time I submit, so is the list just going to grow? So is this going to grow with every, wait, what is happening here? Just stop. Okay. So what I think is going to happen and what I would like to have happen is that I will console log list array and the array will just grow with every submission, but I don't think it's going to be that easy. It can't possibly. So my task. Another task. Stop it. Heidi's task. Okay, so then can I do this? Let list array, and then can I get this outside of this event listener? I don't think so. But does that even matter? Maybe that doesn't matter. We're getting the array. We're getting the list. Yeah. Um, so I don't think this matters. We're getting the list. Let's take a closer look at what this array looks like. Heidi's task not to bark at something that isn't there. She does not. Her tasks are not that well defined. So this is the task item. Where's the text content? Oh, that's interesting. Text content is, oh, the text content is task remove. This is interesting how that text content looks, but that doesn't matter. We're getting the whole thing. That's the only thing that really, I guess, matters. Okay. So technically we have our array. And then what am I doing with the array? I'm just saving it. So then when somebody comes back to the page, these things are, so what are we doing then when they come back to the page? We're doing this, right? So when they come back to the page, push items with add task button. My thought was initialize an empty array outside of the function, push the items with the add task button. So yeah, because I really want to, we kind of need to get it out of the outside of this, right? Let list array. Yeah, I've slipped my mind. Okay, let's make sure that that works. Should work. No. Do we have to do this? Equals. That does not work. Oh, you have to, yeah, you have to push. Okay. So this would actually be list array. Okay. Yeah, so we would just, hang on, I can do this. List array. Push the can we just push the task item like that? I feel like I feel like there's an easier way to do this. Basically, we have to store. Well, let's do this. Well, so let's do our local storage set item. Let's look at local storage. Let's just look at the local storage documentation. Did I already pull that up? No. Let's look at the local storage documentation, because maybe it'll have something in there, because we're only, for the theme switcher, it was just a string. Now we have to save an object or an array, right? So let's check the documentation. I want to see the entire thing. Okay, the read-only property of the window interface allows you to access storage object for the document's origin, blah, blah, blah. The keys and values stored within local storage, okay. Okay, so I'm going to Google it. How to save an array in local storage. Okay, JSON stringify. Use local storage set item key value with JSON stringify. So we have an array of colors, and then convert an array to a string and save it. I don't want to do that. Retrieving an array. Oh, do you have to do this in order to save it? Retrieving an array. When you pull the data back out, it will be a string. Use JSON parse to turn it back into a usable JavaScript array. Stored data, local storage, get item, my colors. Convert the string back to an array. Parsed colors, JSON parsed stored data. Console log parsed colors, outputs red. So in order to do that, though, we have to be able to save the array outside of the submit event. So that has to be number one. So if I'm building the array inside of the event, I just need to get it out. Why can't I just do this? In JavaScript, you don't have to say it's an array. You can just define the task. So this is not working. It's not pushing on there, but list array, this does work. We'll figure it out. Oh, see, it says undefined. Yeah, it doesn't like that. Okay. Yeah, that's not gonna, I know that's not gonna work. I feel like I've done this before. I've done this before. I might have to ask for help. Okay, so how to so close. We're so close. Okay. So how to what's the question I need to ask? We need to close some tabs here. How to get array outside of add event listener. To access an array populated inside an event listener, declare the array in a higher outer scope. Okay. Okay, so we did this. Maybe I just didn't push the correct thing. Let array equal outer scope. We did this. Maybe I just didn't push the correct thing. So if I push, does it have to be the push method of array instances adds the specified elements to the end of an array and returns the new length of the array. Can I push an object though? You can push an object, can't you? Here's an array so here's an object. Well, but we're not really pushing. I mean, technically they're objects, they're. Okay, let's try this again. So we have list array defined outside the event listener. And then I'm going to do list array push. I feel like we should just be able to do this, right? Let's see if this works. That works. That works. Okay, so we know that that works. No, but we're just logging. No, and we're getting the entire object. We're getting the entire thing. I'm sorry, did we not try this? So why are we not able to get it outside? Here's the event listener right here. Let's keep reading. Here's the outer scope. Push the new value. Data array exists here. Will be empty until click. So Caffeine Cowboy is, oh, is it here? Wait a second. Are you pushing the li or the text inside the li? I am pushing the entire li. So the task item is the entire li. Because we need the entire thing, right? So I feel like this is almost kind of working. So here's length 0. I think the console log is just updating. Well, it can only, okay, so let's try this. I think it's working. My task, another task, Heidi task. Oh, see, now it's not. So, shouldn't we see this updating in real time right here? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay. So at what point here, let's pretend like this would work. At what point would we set the local storage? Well, but then we have to do the, I feel like this is not the right direction, because why would we have to do all of the stringify and parse and not be told that we had to do that stuff? Why would we be told that we have to do that and it's not here? So may need to push up the console log to when the item is added. But shouldn't we still be able to see the console log outside of the event? Or is that just not the point? Is the point to retrieve it and not see the, because we know it's working. We know it's working. We can see it update in real time. So we know it's working. Okay, well, let's keep going. I think we're going to have to do the stringify parse thing. That's fine. So let's go back to our local storage. Oh, that was, where was that? That's the thing that we just did. Local storage, save array. Yeah. Okay. So we have our array. I think that we have our array. So let's follow this. We're going to do local storage. We're going to set item, and let's call it our task list. Local storage, set item, and we're going to call it the, well, we can do task underscore list. And then we have to say JSON stringify items or list items. So this is going to be the list array right here. Okay, so now our local storage is updating with every click, right? So it's the task list. And then on page load, I think we have to we'll call it the saved list. And I'm going to do it before, I'm going to do it right here. Because we want that right away on page load, right? This is the saved list. And it's going to be local storage get item. Task list, that's the name. And then we have to parse, JSON parse the list array. This might have to come first. But if we do this first, is that going to like reset it? Or no, it's just going to get it, right? I don't know. We'll find out. I'm going to put it back where it was. I'm going to put it back where it was. And we're just going to figure it out together. Okay. So now we're going to check to see if there's a saved list, then what? Oh, if the saved list equals the task list, then what? Then we want, so then we have to, do we have to for each through our saved list? So then what are we doing? Should we check to see if we can even get the saved list? Let's do that first. Saved list. Let's do that. Okay. Cannot access list array before initialization. So we'll put this up. I guess I'll put it here. Unexpected end of JSON input at JSON parse. Oh, wait a second. No, this is right. What does it say? Unexpected end of JSON input. JSON parse takes an array. So we stringified list array. Oh, we have to do this. It's the wrong thing. Task list. Wait a second. No, that's wrong. Hang on. We'll get there. We'll figure it out. Okay. So the stored data. So local retrieve the string from storage. Stored data. So first we set the item. Okay, I think I just have this backwards. So first we set the item called user colors, and then we stringify the array. Then we do stored data. Okay, this is the part that I'm missing right here. I'm just going to copy this. I think I did this in the wrong order. Okay, so we have the saved list, local storage get item. And then const parsed list equals JSON parse the saved list. So then I think if the saved list equals the task list, then I want to console log the parsed list. Yeah. We'll try it. So on page load, I'm not console logging anything. So this was console logging the parsed colors. See, I feel like we have to do all of this after. I feel like this is too soon. I want to do all of this after. But it might not matter. It might not matter on page load, but we have not checked the applications tab to see if the list is in local storage yet. Maybe we just need to do this and not worry about applications. Yeah, they're not getting, I don't think they're getting saved to local storage. That's we didn't even look at this when we did the theme switcher. So let's see what this even looks like with the theme toggle. When does it get logged here? Oh, there we go. Okay, so hang on. That was a good suggestion. So task list is being saved, but these are empty. What about saved list? Local storage set item task list. JSON stringify the list array. See, I feel like we're not able to get these outside of the event. Okay, we got to ask for help because we're close, but this isn't working. I gotta ask chat. We came so far, people. We came so far. We have to ask ChatGPT for help because yeah, I'm just gonna ask for help. So also, I think let's clear our cookie. Can we just clear our cookies for this? That work? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. ChatGPT to the rescue. Look how much we got done with just reading documentation and a little bit of Googling. So we're so close. I'm so close. I need to save my array of list items in local storage. I'm having trouble knowing if I'm actually able to access the list array outside of the submit event. And if so, am I saving the list array correctly in local storage? Yes, list array is accessible outside the submit handler because you declared it in the parent scope of init task list. The real problem is this line. Okay, it doesn't like the push. You are pushing a DOM element into the array, then you do all of this stuff. That does not save your task data in a useful way because local storage can only store strings, and DOM nodes are not something you can meaningfully serialize with JSON stringify. Okay, so we looked at a Google result and thought it applied, and it did not. What you want to say is the task text, not the list item itself. Here's the smallest correction to your current approach. Okay, where are we here? So this is all good. Okay, and it wants us to, it's adding other things, which is fine. It wants us to trim the value. Okay, fine. Set the attributes. Add the li. Okay, that was good. Save the text value instead of the DOM node. Got it. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Save the value instead of the DOM node. Local storage set item task list. And then, so this is still correct. We're still stringifying the array, but it's a list of values, not entire DOM nodes. Got it. Clear the input. Yep. And then button add event listener. This is to close. Okay, wait a second. What is all this? Button add event listener. Okay, but it added a bunch of stuff that I didn't ask for. I hate that. But you added things I didn't ask for. You're right. Yeah. Direct answer. Yes, you can act. Okay. Okay. So we just want to push the task input value. That's the core fix. DOM nodes won't serialize into useful local storage. Plain strings will. Okay, so we just want to do the task item value. Okay. So I'm not really seeing the values here. Let's let's see here. Probably just gonna have to go back and task input. Oh, this right here instead of the whole item. Okay. So should we be able to see these values here? No, because it's... So should we be doing this after? Why can't I delete you? Oh my gosh, this again. There we go. Finally. Okay, so now... Okay, finally, we did it. Okay, and we're getting things, so now we have things in the right order. Let's make sure we can still remove. So we need to be able to also update the task list. So probably this needs to move up. So does that need to be there to make sure that the array is staying current with things that are getting deleted? Yeah, so we have to make sure, now we have to make sure that this is staying current. So probably how do you, we need to, so this probably would come after the list, and then when we're removing things, we have to remove it from the list. So for sure, we want this to happen last. So then do you pop? Is that what you do? Do you pop? Is that the, hang on. I don't remember. Pop? How do you pop things off the end? Remove the last element from an array and returns that element. Are we removing the last element, though, explicitly? No. We're removing the thing that we added. So we probably need to match it up in the array, right? So we need to look at our array. So do we need to loop through our array and check the target value? No, the target text content. So this would be list array for each list for each list item, basically. So if the list, well, it's already text content. Let's console log list. I want to see what it says. So we're basically just console logging the thing that we cleared. But no. We would just, if there's, hang on. We're console logging each thing in the list. That's what we're doing. What are we console logging? There. So we are console logging everything that exists in the list. Wait, this right here? No, that's what that's it. That's where that's coming from. Oh, where is this coming from? This there. I have so many console logs I don't even know. Okay. Nice to see that we're finally getting that list outside the event though, right? Yeah, we're getting there. Everybody has a different level of experience. Everybody has a different idea about how to achieve this. I don't think anybody's right or wrong. I think I'm just trying to find my way of doing it, and that makes sense to me. I don't want to match up IDs. I think there's a better way to do it. I'm going to keep going with my way. We're so close. We're so close. We're so close. So, and so far everything's pretty much making sense. So, okay. So I'm going to add some list items, and then I would expect that as I start clearing things, I'm able to list what exists in local storage. That's what I expect to see here. So my task, another task, and so on. So if I clear this, there we go. That's exactly what I expected to have happen. Okay, so now I'm able to console log what actually exists in the array. So if list equals target, wait a second. If the list item equals the target value, then how do I delete something from local storage? Local storage delete, local storage remove item. Local storage remove item. Local storage remove item. Is it value or text content? Is it text content? Okay, really quick. I just want to see. Console log. eTarget. Text content. So now I just want to console log the thing that I'm clearing. Okay, so that's the text content of the button. So I think it is value. No. It's, what is it? Because the target is the entire node. Oh, because the target, I need the closest. That's why. Closest. Task item. I should probably just define this. Text content. We're so close. So it's getting both the text content. I just want the task item span. We want the task item span. Because this is the LI and it's the text content of the span. Okay. Well, we already have span up here. So maybe this can just be the item. Oh, this is the closest task. So we're clicking the button, we're going up to the parent, which is the task item, and then we're getting this text content, which is the span. So it doesn't like this. Closest doesn't like this. Can it read properties of null? Reading text content. That's fine. Where's closest? Show me again closest. Get the closest ancestor, which is a div and has a parent. Yeah. We know it's okay with a class. The task item has the span. Here's the class, so we know we're adding it. So I know it's the right thing. We know that this works. We're removing the parent. Oh, maybe it doesn't work because we already removed it. Maybe we have to do the remove last. Because if you remove it, it's not there to log it, right? Right here, people. So we got to log it before we remove it. How much you want to bet? Okay. Cannot read properties of null reading text content. Why? Here's our task item. Here's the span. Is this just not... Okay. What happens if I just console log this? Null. Okay, so it's null because we removed it. But if we remove it, we have to remove it from... If you remove an item, local storage is pointless if it's not staying up to date with the things that you're removing. Right? So if you remove something from the list, how do you update local storage? So this is probably just null because I mean, what happens if we just... I think it's null because it just, yeah, so it's null. Why can't I just get the text content? Remove the whole list and save with the current array. So every time we hit submit to add to the new array, so then every time we remove something, we're just creating a new array, new local storage. So reset. So basically reset. Okay, I'm gonna Google it. I'm open to that. I'm open to that. But I also, why can't I get the value of that span? Task item. Well, I'll even do that. Why won't it let me get the, I don't understand. Is it because of that? No. Let's, before we console log it, let's just do this. So const, button equals first things first. Button equals target. Can I get the text content of the actual button? Let's just start with that. Yes. Okay. Now, I want the button closest task item. That's wrong. Hang on. I want the item. Can I console log that? So when I click on the button, can I just get the entire thing? Pretty sure I can. No. Button closest is not a function. Oh, probably because of that. Okay, we're getting the entire node. Now, can I get the item, the span text, which would be the item span. Let's try this. What if I just want the span? Can I do that? Can I check the item and just get the span? Null. Okay. So here's what I think is happening. I think we're going up and then we're going down. But I feel like that was in the documentation that was okay to do. So here's an element, document, get element by ID. Okay, so let's look at this example here. So there's div 1, div 2, and div 3. So the element is div 3, and we want the closest div 2. Okay, so that goes up 1. And then we want the closest ancestor, which is a div in a div. Closest div, div. So you go element, closest div, div is itself, right? So you go up 1, 1, 2. Okay. So this goes up and then down again. The closest ancestor, which is a div and has a parent article. So the closest article with an immediate child of div, which would be div 1. So what's the difference between what we're doing? That's exactly what we're doing here. The task item exists because we created it. It's right here. And we know it exists in the DOM. So when we click the button, which is the target, we should be able to go up to the ancestor called task item and then back down to the span. If we can't get that, I don't think so, because closest works here. Closest works here. It only worked. So I don't think so. I don't think it matters. Oh, I'm gonna have to ask ChatGPT for help again, and I don't want to. But this is null. I know it exists. So let's just see if we can get help with this. Where's ChatGPT? Did I close you? Where'd you go? Right here. Okay. Okay. Here's my next problem. I'm clicking a button. I'm trying to get maybe it's because they're siblings and they're not all nested. Is that why? It's because they're siblings and they're not nested. It's because the button and the span are siblings. So I think we need to go, I think we just need to add a step. So we get so the item would be the closest item, and then the span would be the item sibling, or the item child, because the button in the example, they're all nested. They're all as ancestors, and the button and the span are siblings. So now the span would be the item. I think it would be the item query selector span. Yeah, because it would be scoped to the item. Now log the span text content. Hello. Of course, we're not removing anything. Well, that's because I took it out. So, okay. We're getting the content of the span now. Right here. Sometimes I just need a minute. Sometimes I just need a minute to think it through. I love this. I love this. It's frustrating. It's frustrating AF, but I love this type of problem solving. Okay, so that's what it was. It was because in the example, the local storage example, where is it here? Closest, in the closest example, these are all nested, all of them, but that's not what we have. That's not what we have. Our button and our span are siblings. So we have to go all the way up to the task item, and then we scope the span to the parent container, which is the item. Yeah, but we still need to remove it last because we need to access it. Okay, now we couldn't do, we can't remove anything if we can't access it. So now we can, I think, remove this. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove the span. So if the, so this is going to change a little bit. So here's our list array. Here's our item, right? We'll keep the keyword list. And then if the list equals, I think we can just do span text content right here, because we've defined it. Span text content, we can remove the, oh, what did I do? Span text content. So if the thing in the, no, not this, the list, it's the list. That's what we're removing. We're removing the list. Here, should we do list item just to keep it a little bit semantic? That's what we're removing. So here's our list array. We'll get the list item. If the list item equals the span text content, remove the list item from local storage, and then go ahead and remove it from our list. Feeling pretty good about this. So let's go back to our applications panel. Let's delete this and start fresh. Okay, Angela's, what were we doing again? Angela's task, Heidi's task, another task. Okay. Okay, so I'm not seeing this update in real time. What's happening in the console? So I think I want to console log list item. I want to console log these together. I want to see these side by side since that's what I'm comparing, right? My loop might be wrong, but I'm not sure. So my task, Heidi's task. Okay, so here's our applications. So now, okay, so we have some extra stuff going on here that we need to figure out. We're logging too many things. Let's see here. Could I publish the conversation with ChatGPT where he came up with the 30 days of tasks? You know, I can't because the conversation included things that I don't want to publish. And it occurred over several days over like 3 or 4 different chats. It didn't all happen in the same chat. And it would just be way too much work to go and like copy edit all of that. So I'm not going to publish it, but I honestly don't think you need me to publish it. I really think you could go start that conversation with ChatGPT yourself. I mean, the conversation started extremely basic. Like, I have this idea to stream every day for 30 days to get better at JavaScript. That was literally what I asked, and it went from there. But it also, the conversations have taken place over weeks, because I came up with the idea at the beginning of March. Is when I came up with the idea. So it's just too spread out. And yeah, so no, I'm not going to publish it, but I don't think I need to. I think you could definitely ask that question. Let's see here. Okay. So I think the problem is so now we have to match this up in order to remove it, right? So now we have to match this up in order to remove it. And I'm telling you now, I'm going to keep going. I'm not stopping because we are so close. We're so close. So how do I... So the for each is running twice because there's 2 items. Okay, fair enough. Maybe we don't need to for each. Maybe we only need to check the... I don't think we need to for each. Well, or do we? Well, we have to for each through the array. We have to for each through the array. Because we have to compare what we clicked on to what's happening in the array. So this, I might need help with this part. So we're for each through the array. So every time we click a button to remove, we loop through the array and we check to see does anything in the array match does this matter? We check to see, does the thing that we just clicked on match anything in the array? If so, remove that item. Maybe it doesn't matter what but this isn't updating. Yeah. Just returned from letting out the dogs. Where are we at? Matching removed item. We're so close. We're so close. I might need help with this part. I don't know though. Maybe I'm just console logging in the wrong place. Maybe I just need to console log here. And maybe I'm supposed to be doing this. Well, first of all, let's delete this. Okay, so these are matching up now because I got the console log in the correct place. So those are matching up, but this is not. Oh, whoops. This is not. That's not working. I mean, should I not be seeing that happen in real time? We see it added in real time. Why is it not being removed in real time? So let's check. Local storage remove item. Save local storage array. Pop, no. Remove item. Or to wipe everything in local storage for the current domain, use the clear method. Okay, remove item my key. Removes the specific key value pair associated with the given key. So do I have to do... Well, if you have to get item from key, what's the key? The key is task list. Remove item, task list, list item. What? Oh, but that's clearing the entire thing. I just want to clear the thing. So this is removing... So if I add another task, my task, Heidi's task, yeah, that's removing the entire thing. So I don't want to remove the entire thing. I just want to remove my item. So I don't think that this is... Yeah. We're right on the... Okay, deletes all key value pairs in storage for that origin, removes the specific key value pair associated with the given key. Strings only. Pass the key name as a string. Well, we're getting the string, right? I feel like we're not... There's just like some scoping thing going on here. That's what it feels like to me. To remove an item from local storage, use the remove item method. Like, what if you had multiple things in local storage? How would it know which one to look in? That's why I feel like there's a scoping issue here. So I am going to ask... Yeah, this is not a bad idea. I don't want to do that. You could add each item individually rather than in an array. Just need to give each item a specific key. Rather than task item. That's true. I feel like I'm very close though. Vanilla.js says, you already did it, but here's another snippet. Event, current target, previous element, sibling, text content. I wanted to help out, but was locked out due to subscribers only mode. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes. Caffeine Cowboy says, it's just changing the state, the item array, and then remove and set. And the code guy is here. Yeah. But I want to figure this out. I'm not giving up yet. I'm not implying that you're telling me to give up. I just think that I'm very close to having this particular thing solved. So I am going to forge forward with this because I think I've come too far. And I don't want to change strategies right now. So, because I'm not convinced yet that I have the wrong strategy. I just think that there's a scoping issue. But I'm not sure. So, oh God, I don't want to ask for help. I just want it to come to me. I just want it to like float down through the ether and occur to me what I'm doing wrong here. Let me try it one more time and confirm that it's not working. Maybe it'll just magically start working. Well, so the key is task list. And the value is my task. That's what and this specifically says key. Remove item, my key. That's what I don't understand. Deletes all key value pairs. And get item key retrieves the value for a key. So that's what I think. Remove a specific item. Pass the key name as a string to the remove item method. Oh, okay. I just don't think we can remove a specific item inside a saved key value when the value is an array. Could be wrong. Not the first. Okay. The value is an array though, rather than a string. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I'm also noticing here my key. Where is it? So does that mean that we need every item? So local storage always has to be a unique key value pair? Yeah. So I think local storage has to be, so we can't really build an array then. We have to save every task as its own local storage. Which would mean that it would make this a lot easier then. Either every item has a unique key or use the array to keep track of state. I think every item needs to have a unique key. That's what it's starting to sound like. But then in order to keep, okay, let's think this through. So then in order to, like say you come back to the page and you're getting all that data, then the key value pairs are the array, not one key with an array as a value. The whole, all local storage then is the array. Well, how does that work? Like, what if you have multiple things in local storage? You're taking every single thing. Yeah, either every item has a unique key or use the array to keep track of state. Or we could do what you suggested a little bit ago, which is delete. Yeah, you'd need to pull each key, render it, rinse and repeat. Doesn't that just sound like a huge pain in the ass? You know what might be better? And you already said this once. To clear local, every time we click a button, we clear local storage and we rebuild it. But how would we do that? Every time you remove it, you would clear it and then you would rebuild it. With this, we would do this again. Or use filter and set it again in local storage. Can't we just do this? Like just redo this? So instead of doing this, we wouldn't even need to do any of this because we're not comparing anything. Local storage, clear. Can't we just do this again? We can't just do this again? We do it here to build it, and then we just redo it here. Well, but you can't rebuild it just by removing, well, it would be, you can't just rebuild it. If you clear the whole thing and then you remove one item, how do you get all the other items that were there? You're only taking one thing out. So how do you get push, clear, set? Okay, but my question is, let's say you have 5 things in local storage. You clear local storage. You clear all 5 things when all you did was delete one thing. You lost the other 4 things. Do you see what I'm saying? Am I not understanding correctly? Because I feel like clearing is not the right strategy then. You remove one thing, you clear the whole thing. Okay, we need to ask for help. You guys, we're so close. We're so close. Okay. 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 I feel like I'm so close. And I know you want to fix other parts of my code. The real issue is removing items from local storage. I don't know what the best strategy is. So let's just ask ChatGPT what the best strategy is here. This is a strategy problem that I think we're running into. So, okay, so the strategy is not remove item for each task because you are not storing each task as its own local storage key. You are storing one key and its value is the whole array. So when you remove one task, the move is update list array, save the updated array back to task list. Remove the DOM item. that means this is the wrong direction, local storage clear, because that wipes out everything in local storage, not just your task list. And this also does not make sense here, right? Because list item is not a local storage key. Your only key is task list. Yeah, we figured that out. The core thing you want inside the remove click is this pattern. List array. Okay, somebody said to use filter. List array, filter the item. If the item does not equal the span, local storage, set item, task list, and then redo this list array. Using your code shape, the relevant part would look like this. Button, add event listener, click. So the target closest task item, and then the span is the query select. Okay, yeah, we got that right. List array, filter, list item. If the list item does not equal the span content, local storage, set item, task list, JSON, stringify, list array, item, remove. One important caveat, if you have duplicate task names like laundry, laundry, then filter like this will remove both. So your current best strategy depends on your goal. If task text is guaranteed unique, this is fine. If duplicate task text is allowed, then you need an ID-based approach later. Oh, I feel like somebody in the chat might have mentioned that. Okay. But for where you are right now, the actual removal strategy is filter, not clear, and not remove item on the task text. Makes sense. Filter to create a new copy of the array without the item you're trying to remove. Okay. This is getting complicated. I'm going to ask another question to ChatGPT. Okay. Thank you. Is there a better strategy to save the list items in local storage? Yes. Of course there is. Okay, one moment. Okay, the better strategy is to store the tasks as plain data objects, not just strings. Right now, you have something like do laundry, walk dog, deploy site. That works for a very simple version, but it gets weak fast because you cannot reliably distinguish duplicates, and you do not have room for future state like completed or not completed. A better structure is ID tag. Okay. That gives you a clean way to remove one exact item, allow duplicate text, later add things like completed true. So the better strategy is not really about local storage itself, it's about what shape of data you save it in. The local storage part stays the same. So we set an item called task list. What changes is the array contents. For example, when adding a task, we save key value pairs, so we save an object. So we're saving an array of objects. Then when removing, you remove by ID, not by matching text. That is the big upgrade. So task 1, task 2 looks like this. That said, for a beginner-friendly simple task list, strings are perfectly acceptable if you do not care about duplicates. But if you are asking for the more solid pattern, it is definitely store an array of objects with IDs. So, okay. So, yeah. Other option is to use a set rather than an array, since set can't have duplicate items if you simply don't want to run into duplicate. Yeah. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the simple method because I'm getting tired of working on this. Yeah. So let's do the simple method because we learned a lot today. I think we learned a lot today. And I would like to just point out the fact that I got a lot figured up up until this point. Yeah, I got a lot figured out up until this point. The whole point of this exercise and these projects is to do exactly what I'm doing. It's not to solve all of the problems in the most robust way possible all in one sitting. So I'm going to do this method right here. And I'm literally going to copy and paste this. Because I would like to move on with my life today. Oh, here. We didn't need to do the whole thing. Let's see what happens. So we're filtering out the thing that we clicked on, and then we are what do we call this? Basically resetting local storage and then removing the item. Well, there it is. You know what else? You know what we haven't even done yet? We haven't done the whole thing where you actually come back to the page and the list gets implemented. So that we haven't even gotten that far. We haven't updated our buttons. We may have to finish working on this tomorrow too. No, Angela, keep going. You can do it. You can do it. But there we go. We're updating. Everything's getting updated now. So I think this was the right call for now. So because we're not even done yet. So okay. So now we have to actually get those things. This was the hard part. The next part you've done a million times, give or take. Yeah. Okay. Plus we need to deploy, plus we need to get, maybe I'll just do I might do the deployment myself this afternoon because I have to build new pages this afternoon anyways. So I'll just take care of the deployment and getting the markup on the page. I'll do all of that separately myself later on. So, yeah. So I'm not going to worry about that either. Let's just make sure that when we come back to our page, we can actually see the correct list, right? So I think at this point it would be just seeing the parse list at this point, right? So let's do that. So we don't have anything in local storage anymore. I'm actually going to delete this. Well, we don't even have to delete it. Let's just add more tasks. Riskies, tasks. And then we're console logging. There we go. So that's working. So now we should be able to do it again. Ryan's tasks. How about a Target run? Ooh, Costco. What do I need at Costco? Costco run. So now I should be able to refresh and see everything. Oh, but I'm only seeing the last 3. Oh, that's because so we're still okay. Angela, you're fine. So shouldn't this still be here on page load? Yeah, it is. But these aren't. So what happens if I... So this is completely... So when I add new items, though, the old list is getting cleared. The old list is being completely cleared out. Shouldn't the old list still be there on page load? Or maybe that's the whole point. Maybe that's the whole point. So if the saved theme so on page load, when I add new things, it's replacing what's in local storage. Okay, I'm going to ask. I'm going with filter and keeping this a simple task list with strings. But on page load, I see the task list saved in local storage, but when I start adding new items, it clears the list and starts a fresh list. Yeah, this makes sense. Check if the task list exists on load. If so, add those items to the initially empty array. Oh, because list array always starts here. So every time the page loads, your JavaScript creates a brand new empty array in memory. You are reading local storage later, but you are not putting that saved data back into list array. So when you submit a new task, you are effectively doing this. Empty array, push new task, and then saving that fresh one item array back to local storage, which overwrites the old saved list. The fix is to initialize list array from local storage instead of always starting with an empty array. So this should become this. So saved list equals local storage get item task list, let list array equal the saved list or an empty array if there's nothing in there. That makes sense. So let's move some of these things up. I don't need all of this. Okay, so we did this already. And I'm going to take Heidi. This I'm going to need. This I probably can put down at the bottom. It's this that we need on page load before everything else. And then this I think would be down here, right? Now I should be able to add. There we go. God damn, this is complicated. So now we have our parsed array. There we go. Now we have our hallelujah. Okay, so now we have our parsed list that we can just for each through. Sweet Jesus, for each through. Stop. For each. I guess I can just call it list item. I'm running out of things to call. I'm running out of clever names. Okay, so now, don't we just want to do all of this again, right? Right? And this is why a task list is a good first portfolio piece. It's not as easy as it seems. And the crazy part is that the list part of the list part of the task list was incredibly easy. We've been spending like 2 hours on the local storage, but I agree that this is a great, this has been a fantastic project. Absolutely fantastic. So it's frustrating. It's a huge struggle session. It's so worth it. It is absolutely so worth it. So I think we literally can just repeat these things now inside of our for each loop. We're just creating new elements and adding them, right? Which probably means that we should just create a function. Oh, I feel like somebody told me to do that too. Okay. So we probably want to do, I feel like we need to do all of this in a function, right? Yeah. I know. Just you got to give me a second. So you got to give me time to figure it out. You got to give me time to figure it out. So we'll call this the create list items function. So this is the create list items function. And we will put that right here. And I think we also need to put that right here, but we have to have a callback function for this to work. So I think it needs to be, hang on. Don't tell me. It'll work fine here, but how do I get this to work inside of the loop? The list item is it, can I just do this? Is that going to work? Well, we'll find out. No. Yeah. Don't tell me. Okay, don't tell me. I did this before too. We did this before too. I have done this a million times. Where else did I do this? In the filterable list? No, where did I do this? In the... Was it the tabs? Where did I do this before? Yeah, this. Task item has already been declared. mean, I don't need that inside of there. See, I'm not looping through this stuff. So, okay, so if I wasn't, hang on, just give me a moment here to think about this. So if I wasn't creating a function and I was just going to loop through all these things and create these items, I would just call I would just say the list item I mean, I would just say the list item. Do I have to call if I was looping through for each, then it would be the what is the list item equal to? If we're console logging through the list item, then it's the span text content is equal to the list item. So and the span text content is equal to the task input value. Because the parsed list, you're not gonna let me. Because this is the parsed list. Yeah, we're pretty close here. We're pretty close. So for each list item, the list item is equal to the span text content, which means I have to take care of that up here. Which means that we really just want like the value or the text. It could be the callback can be anything, right? So we could just call it the text and say that the span text content is equal to the text. And then the callback value here would be the span text content, right? And then here it would be the list item, right? We're pretty close. There's a bunch of stuff happening here. So, well, let's see if we can update. Let's see if we can. Not yet. I'm close. I'm close. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'm actually going to delete my task list and start over. Could even go with a for loop and add the string at list array I to span text content. Okay, so this isn't working. It's not defined. Okay. Yeah, span is not defined. Okay, I'm gonna ask for help because I'm starting to get a little bit tired. Okay. Okay. So close. Please help me with my function. You're right there. The main issue is scope. Inside submit, these do not exist because span and button are local to create list items. Because span and button are local to create list items. Also, inside create list items text, this line is wrong for page load. Okay? Because when you rebuild from local storage, you want to use text, not the current input value. Here's your function fixed with the smallest possible changes to your approach. So it's task input value, okay. Got it, task input value. Task input dot value. The problem is that it makes changes to my code, and it's like, what does it say here? It says, oh, I had to scroll up. Here's your function fixed with the smallest possible changes to your approach. What per se are the changes you're referring to? Am I just supposed to look at this and know? I don't know. So that looks the same. That looks the same. So I think it put everything, including the button event listener, inside the function. Yeah, it put everything inside the function. Okay. Okay, just what the frick. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Okay. So it put everything inside the function, including the event listener for the button. And then here's our function, and then here's our function again. Okay. You'd think it would annotate the changes. You would think. So, okay. Okay, yes. I said I wanted to avoid copying and pasting from ChatGPT, but I felt like my hand was forced. I had no choice. Okay, so let's check and see how it's going. There it is. So now let's go to a different page and we'll come back to our task list. Well, simple my ass. Simple my ass. There's nothing simple about this. This was incredibly complicated. Although I will say, in my own defense, not that I feel like I really need to defend myself, everything was going great right up until the point where we had to figure out the local storage part. But what is the point of this task list without local storage? And honestly, it has so many incredible use cases. It really does. I'm already thinking of all the ways that I want to, especially after the form thing yesterday, like the form validation. Well, all of it, everything working up until today has been incredibly valuable. So I have so many ideas for things that I want to do. I'm going to do some remaining styling, and I'm going to get everything loaded onto the pages, the markup and things like that, because I feel like I'm kind of nearing my end for today, and I have to build pages this afternoon and this evening anyways. So I think this is a good time to call it quits. So I'm kind of surprised that ChatGPT suggested this project this early in the 30 days rather than the middle or the end. Yeah, it makes me a little bit worried for what else we have coming up here. So let's take a look here at what's coming up. Now, so this weekend, we've got the social sharing buttons and the GDPR cookie banner, and those are actually my idea. So, and that a lot of that code is already written. I think the social sharing buttons, God Bless America, is going to be relatively straightforward because we did that like in our last project. I've got the JavaScript already ready to go. It's create elements, putting things on the page. The core of that work is done. The GDPR cookie banner I did 2 years ago on another project, and I have that set aside also and working. So that's going to be our Sunday project. I have the code for that. I haven't looked at it in a couple of years, but I have working code for that. So, we're gonna start working on it and see how it goes. But that also is my idea. I really wanted to do that. So what else do we have here? Copy to clipboard, scroll interactions, scroll progress indicator, sortable table. I'm looking forward to that. Keyboard accessible drop-down menu. I mean, we know how to do that. There's a lot going on here, but this is the whole point. This is the whole point of doing this. So I think it's going to be fine. But yeah, got there, and the copy paste was the last resort. Rather figure out what and where the changes occurred. I'm looking at the chat log and thinking I talk way too much. You talk the perfect amount. Don't worry about it. It's I have to balance. I'm figuring out, and I'm getting better at it. I'm figuring out balancing talking to the chat and not letting the chat solve the problem for me. It's a difficult balance because I love talking to the chat. I want the chat to come to my streams and feel like I pay attention to them, because I personally watch a lot of streamers. Some are busy and they have tens of thousands of people. Like I love a good Dr. Disrespect stream. I'm not a gamer at all, but he's so entertaining. I love a good Dr. Disrespect stream, but he's got tens of thousands of people in his chat. There's no way you would ever get noticed, right? I go to some streamers who are very small and they do notice you, or in my opinion, they've got time to notice you because they're so small and they don't. They don't even look at the chat. They completely ignore the chat, and I don't like that. I want to talk to the chat. The whole point of being here is that I get to meet people and talk to people. So, I just want to make sure that people know that if I'm not responding to the chat, it's because I'm trying to figure it out. So I definitely don't want you to not talk in the chat, because I like that. I want people to be engaged. So, okay. Speaking of talking too much, I'm talking too much. My throat is actually getting sore. I'm talking too much. So I'm going to take Heidi for a walk. I'm going to go have some lunch. And I'm going to get some things styled here this afternoon and get some more pages built before this weekend. I am very much looking forward to this weekend. Come hang out with me this Saturday and Sunday. 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to continue working on our JavaScript tasks. Having a blast so far. If you haven't already, would you be so kind as to like this video, subscribe if you're not already, and I will see everybody tomorrow. I love all of you fine people. Bye-bye.